Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of the Gamers Podcast. Now, I was thinking about making this specific topic a My Thoughts episode or a podcast. I was kind of tossing which to make it out of. But I ultimately decided to make this a Gamers Podcast just because it's regarded with EA, and of course, EA makes a bunch of games, and I figured it was specifically related to gaming, kind of like from a business standpoint. So I figured making it a podcast, I was kind of like mixed because it was kind of like a business kind of topic to talk about, and I figured it would fit maybe my thoughts. But I figured since it was EA, EA is involved and they make games, like I was saying, I figured it would be more appropriate to make it a gamers podcast. But it's kind of like mixed up into like, actual gaming and just some business things. But we're going to be getting into it, of course. EA Games has been bought out, and this happened a while ago, about a month or two ago, if I remember correctly, when I saw the news. And I was thinking about making a video about it, regardless of my thoughts or not. I was thinking about making a video about it, and then I was like, yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I just didn't know how interesting it would really be. Because I was reading up a little bit about it. It didn't really make too much of a difference, and it doesn't seem like it's going to make too much of a difference between how EA makes games and whatnot. But I figured it would be a pretty interesting topic to talk about, so as now I ended up making a video about it, as you guys are seeing now. So we're going to talk about it. I'm going to be reading from some different articles, like mainstream articles, so pretty legit and whatnot, and I'm going to be, of course, giving I guess, kind of like my thoughts on it. I guess it's a mix of my thoughts and the Gamers Podcast, but the main theme here is it's a Gamers Podcast episode. We're going to be getting into a couple things here and just talking about it. So just kind of like a little brief thing here on what it is. So Electronic Arts was acquired in a $55 billion deal led by a consortium that includes Saudi Arabia's public investment fund Silver Lake and Jared Kushner's affinity partners. This acquisition marks one of the largest leveraged buyouts in the gaming industry, which is pretty big. See, that's what I was saying. It kind of directly relates to gaming and whatnot. So it is, I guess, one of the biggest deals in gaming and the gaming industry. I guess the buyout standpoint of it. So that's pretty much what happens. EA was bought for $55 billion. It's a pretty big deal. I don't think we're going to see too much change out of like EA games or whatnot, just from what I've seen, doing some preemptive research, for this video. But I'm going to read from some different articles here and whatnot, probably a little bit longer. So this is from CNBC. Of course, EA's $55 billion deal delivers a win for investors, but raises uncertainty for gamers. So this is a one by CNBC. Just kind of scrolling through here. As video game giant Electronic Arts, or EA, I'm going to call it EA just for short. Everybody knows what it is anyway. Begins its transition to becoming a private company. Analysts are optimistic about the $55 billion deal, with one even calling it a big win for shareholders. On Monday, this is past Monday, I guess, but EA announced it will be acquired in an all-cash deal, which is actually interesting, by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners. Shareholders will receive $210 per share, a $17 premium over EA's all-time high in August. I think that's when this officially happened. It was either August or early September, so it was a little while ago at this point, but not too long ago. So they're bought out by a little bit of a difference of shareholders, kind of different groups of people or whatnot, if you want to call it. There is now a 45-day window to allow for other proposals. Morningstar senior equity analyst Matthew Delgin wrote in a Tuesday note that this deal is all but certain to close without any regulatory hurdles, given the Saudis' government favorable relationship with the current U.S. administration and favorable premium for shareholders. But while Wall Street may be celebrating, the gaming community might not share the same sentiment. For years, gamers have criticized EA's lack of innovation and aggressive monetization tactics, probably specifically with Madden, I should say. Now, EA has made, they've made different kinds of games, and, they're behind Battlefield, they're behind some of the other bigger games, but mainly Madden, the Madden NFL series. So that's their biggest successor, I would say, at least in sports. They, EA Sports, their biggest, successor for gaming and whatnot would be Madden, and that's what they're really criticizing. And a lot of Madden fans criticize their microtransactions or whatnot, but that's probably more specifically what gamers are upset about, just about their kind of poor lack of motivation and kind of poor development for Madden. That's really what I could trace it back to. So it makes sense. As it says, poor gaming street cred. EA's portfolio includes blockbuster franchises, of course, like FC, formerly FIFA, The Sims, and Battlefield, like I was kind of mentioning. But despite strong financials, EA has posted operational profits every year since 2015. It's often drawn criticism from gamers. 2012 and 2013, EA was voted worst company in America by now defunct customer advocacy website Consumerist.com. It's funny you say that. In 2018, USA Today ranked it fifth most hated company in the U.S. Much of backlash stemmed from its reliance on live service model, microtransactions, and controversial mechanic like loot boxes. So pretty much all the stuff I was saying before, more specifically with Madden, but perhaps amongst other things like Battlefield and whatnot. That's funny. It says most hated company in America. That's funny. EA has also faced criticism for prioritizing sequels over new intellectual property. In 2024 internal note reported by IGN, CEO Andrew Wilson said that EA will double down on owned IP sports and massive online communities. Same year, online magazine Inverse wrote, perhaps the most common complaint is that EA fails to innovate, citing overpriced Sims 4 content packs, repetitive sports titles, and underwhelming sequels to legacy franchises. I don't personally play The Sims, not really into that whole thing, so I wouldn't know. But, perhaps with the other things like Madden and stuff, I do know directly. Company had also the most downvoted comment on Reddit after it tried to defend its stance over the long time taken to unlock content and characters in the 2017 Star Wars Battlefront 2, even after buying the deluxe edition of the game. The game's loot box mechanics, while not exclusive to EA, also led to backlash from gamers, triggering European regulators to investigate whether the feature constituted gambling, I should say. In November 2017, U.S. Senator Chris Lee called it predatory practice from EA. This game is Star Wars-themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money. It's a trap, he said in a press conference, which I can't 100%, I can't 100% disagree with, I should say. I mean, Battlefront did have a lot of gambling, perhaps, aspects. I could see where that could be argued, over the years. Going into a little bit more of this article, with EA no longer beholden to quarterly earnings reports, gamers may hope the company will take more creative risks, but analysts are divided. Of course, the company will be in position to explore more creative games, said Michael Patcher, managing director at Webush Securities, but that isn't really something they're particularly good at, especially if the current management remains in place. Patcher expects EA to double down on its live service model and significantly grow its mobile gaming business under the PIF. I suspect Saudis will roll out more mobile games for all EA Sports, Sims, and Battlefield titles. Patcher said, highlighting that the PIF suit through Savvy Games Core owns Scopely and Niantic, I hope I said that right. Two of the best mobile game publishers in the business. Michael Futter, founder of video game industry consultancy F Squared, echoed his view. He noted that the deal will saddle EA with $20 billion in debt, pushing it to lean harder on stable revenue streams like microtransactions, battle passes, FOMO-style fear of missing out, which is what FOMO is, rotating inventory of in-game storefronts. It's kind of paraphrasing on my part. Futter believes EA will consolidate around its safest franchises such as The Sims, Battlefield, and sports titles, rather than experiment with new IPs. The debt hanging over their head isn't likely to create a shift in strategy. Instead, it will likely see leadership entrench themselves in the titles they think they have the largest revenue potential, even if they also carry the largest risk. He added, I don't know if EA is going to service this debt without significant layoffs, studio closures, possibly IP sell-off, which is fair enough, I guess, because if they're in debt from this deal. So basically what's said is, they're not going to put anything new or more creative out. They're just going to basically try and milk the titles they already have, like Madden or Battlefield. They're just kind of try to hold that tight and hopefully make revenue off of that and kind of milk that until they kind of dig themselves out of their debt, which I guess makes sense. But, I mean, they wouldn't put money into a newer creative game when they're in debt and they just want to kind of milk out the games they already have kind of reran or developed. So, I mean, I see where gamers could be, concerned. But, I mean, I don't know how much it could get worse because, I mean, EA has a pretty bad track record, particularly, like I was saying, with Madden and just microtransactions and whatnot. So I don't really see how it could get worse. But, I mean, I see where that could be a concern. But, I mean, it's kind of confusing perhaps to the naked eye or to the average person. But, I mean, if you're really looking into the business and analytical part of this whole deal, which is what I'm trying to do. I mean, believe it or not, I am do a lot of good business stuff. I pay attention to stocks and whatnot. Crypto and business dealings like this with EA specifically. And I pay attention to that kind of stuff and trying to get myself invested so I understand more of that stuff. That's kind of all said. It's kind of off topic, but I mean it kind of has something to do with it. But that's just to mention, But I'm no businessman. I don't know all of these phrasings or whatnot or what this entirely means. But I know, from the research I've done and stuff that I've gotten into, I mean that makes sense to this. What they're saying here. But like I said, maybe to the person who's not into all this stuff, it might not seem like it, might not make any sense. But kind of just going through more of the article here, just pretty much wrapping it up on the specific article from CNBC. David Cole, CEO of DFC Intelligence, added that in the short term, EA may consider selling off more of its IPs to manage its debt. He cited the Command and Conquer series as an example of a franchise with historical value but limited commercial scale. The last mainline Command and Conquer early came out in 2012 with only mobile game after that in 2018. But in the long term, the company will have the freedom to explore some more options and take some more risk, he said. But will they do that, though? I mean, that's the big question. Will they explore more options and, take more risk? That's kind of what was the other journalist was saying. They might not, and they might just milk the games they already have and maybe not take those risks because of the debt they're in. But it's interesting, it's very interesting, and it makes sense, in the long term. But I guess we'll have to see. There's a couple more things I would like to kind of read over from a different article. This is from the New York Times, more or less the same type article, just going over the deal. But they made some good points here, I'd like to say. So Silver Lake, as mentioned, which has around $110 billion under management, is known for its involvement in some of the largest technology transactions on the record, such as multi-billion-dollar deals with Dell Technologies to take it private and then public again. Electronic Arts would be required to pay $1 billion termination fee if the company's board decided against going ahead with the buyout, or if the shareholders reject the deal. The investors would pay a $1 billion fee if, among other things, they were unable to secure regulatory approval. Electronic Arts would also have to pay one. I should be saying EA, that's what I was saying, but regardless, just trying to read the article as it's presented. They would have to pay a fee if it spurned the buyout agreement for a better offer. Analysts had previously thought that the major media player like Disney could try to buy the gaming company, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But in recent years, gaming companies have tried to adapt to changing player attitudes and appetites. Console games, those made for the PlayStation and Xbox, as well as desktop computer titles, have largely been in decline. Instead, gamers have flocked to free-to-play games like Fortnite, and many play from smartphones and other mobile devices. Others have embraced casual mobile games, which do not take the same amount of time and money to develop as those made by major studios like EA. Analysts believe that the Saudi plan is to make some of the Electronic Arts' most popular titles widely available and possibly free to play on platforms, which could include mobile games and streaming television apps. New growth strategies could include in-app purchases or deals with popular streamers for access to a wider audience. Netflix is currently courting gamers across its platforms on connected TVs, for instance. The deal is expected to close in the second quarter of 2026. The company would remain based in Redwood City, California, and continue to be led by Mr. Wilson. Corrections were made on September 9, 2025. An earlier version of this article misstated the expected closing date for the buyout of Electronic Arts. It's second quarter of 2026, not the first quarter of 2027, so it corrected itself there. So this deal is going to take about a year or two to close officially, so I don't think any changes are officially going to go into effect, but it was made, the deal was reached as far as I could see. I may be wrong here, so please enlighten me in the comments if I'm missing anything, because kind of like I was saying, I'm fairly new to this business stuff. I mean, like I said, I do kind of get into it, but I'm fairly new to this kind of business stuff. I don't know entirely what it means, so if you know more about this stuff in the comments, please enlighten me. But I think what I'm getting from this is that it's officially bought, but I don't think it changes to ownership or anything would officially start when the deal is closed. Like, things can be changed, but I think it officially closes in 2026 or the quarter of 2027. So I don't think anything really major is going to happen until that. But it was bought, and I mean, it's a pretty big deal, I guess, from a business standpoint. But I guess it's fair for gamers to be kind of a little leery about this because it could, I mean, EA already has a bad rap for what they do, but it could also get worse. Like I was saying, I don't know how it could get any worse. I feel like a buyout could maybe benefit EA. Like kind of, the other article was saying, maybe it could benefit them to kind of explore them to take more risks and not, they don't have shareholders to answer to and specifically. So perhaps it's good for EA. So I'm optimistic about it. I don't think anything too crazy is going to come out of this. Like, I don't think they're going to like cancel Madden or anything. Just for example, is one of their bigger titles, Madden. But that's just wild example. But I don't think anything too crazy is going to happen, at least until the deal closes. Um, but perhaps it could be good for EA, but also it could, EA can kind of go down a different path with this. It could go down a worse path, kind of the thing, what they already are doing. But it could be good for EA, but it also could be bad. It depends on kind of what they choose to do, um, and kind of ramp up and milk the series they already have. But it all kind of depends. But just in general, kind of wrapping up the video here, I figured it was a pretty interesting topic to come on here and talk about. Like I was saying, I was debating doing a My Thoughts or a Gamers Podcast. I figured I'd make it into a Gamers Podcast because it is specifically a gaming company being bought. So I figured it would fit more well into the Gamers Podcast. But personally, I don't think it's gonna, it's not gonna be any big changes. So I'm not specifically worried about anything changing right away. But for future terms, I think it will change things, but maybe not right this minute. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for today. Again, if I perhaps maybe misunderstood anything, I know this is a different topic to kind of talk about. It's more of a business standpoint thing. If I kind of missed anything or maybe didn't get something right, or whatever it is it may be, and if you better than me, and like I said, kind of enlighten me in the comments, if you will. And perhaps explain to me kind of more or less how this works. Because like I said, I'm new with this kind of business stuff, trying to get into it, but I'm not really good. I just kind of explain what the article says. But if I perhaps missed anything that majorly a part of this deal, just let me know. It's maybe perhaps a little bit mistake. But regardless of that, of course, leave a comment down below along with those two, what you think about the EA Games buyout. Do you think anything big is going to change? Do you think nothing's really going to change and it's just another buyout? Whatever it is it may be, of course, leave comments down below, feedback, all the good stuff. Be sure to subscribe for more content, link in the video, all good stuff, Discord, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, links in the description. And yeah, just figured to come on here. Pretty interesting topic to talk about, a little business thing. Yeah, for now though, I will see you guys in the next video.